The Hunted Hunter, the Sculptor's Downfall. For years, the city had been suffocated under the weight of terror. The serial killer known as the Sculptor had carved his twisted legacy in the shadows, eluding every attempt to catch him. His victims were carefully selected, each one fitting into a masterful design only he could see. Their deaths were gruesome but deliberate, transformed into horrific art displays that chilled the soul. Bodies bent and contorted, posed in macabre arrangements that horrified the public and captivated the media. There was no apparent pattern, no common thread that detectives could unravel. Each kill felt random, and that was the beauty of his work, except it wasn't random at all. For years, the sculptor was untouchable, a predator without equal, until his latest mark. Her name was Elena, 52, lived alone in a modest house in a quiet suburb, unassuming, invisible, just the way the sculptor liked his targets. She fit his pattern down to the smallest detail, but from the moment he laid eyes on her, something felt off. She wasn't like the others. There was a stillness in her gaze, a quiet confidence beneath her composed exterior that piqued his curiosity. The sculptor didn't know why, but he felt it would make for a more exhilarating hunt. He began his routine, stalking her, watching her from the safety of the shadows. Elena's life was organized, methodical. She woke early, exercised, shopped for groceries on the same day every week, always home before dark. Nothing unusual, but her movements were precise, almost military. The sculptor had hunted careful prey before, cops, ex-military, even private security. This was no different, he told himself. Every predator could find the cracks in even the most disciplined routine. This time would be no different. For days, he meticulously mapped out his plan, learning the ins and outs of her daily schedule. He memorized her habits, her comings and goings, and when the time came, he struck. One dark night, as the city slept, he broke into her house like a wraith. Silent, unseen. His footsteps were ghostly whispers as he made his way through her hallway down to her bedroom. But as he approached the door, something felt wrong. The air in the house was different, charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. His instinct screamed at him to leave, but he pushed forward. He was the sculptor, the hunter, the predator. Reaching the bedroom, he pushed the door open, knife ready, but what he saw stopped him cold. The bed was empty. Before he could react, the door slammed behind him with a force that sent a jolt of panic through his chest. In the sudden stillness, a voice drifted from the shadows. "You've been watching me, haven't you?" His heart raced. Elena stood in the doorway, calm and composed, as if she had been expecting him all along. Her eyes met his, but there was no fear, only calculation. Cold, merciless calculation. The sculptor moved toward her, knife raised, intent on overpowering her, but Elena didn't flinch. Instead, a slow, almost amused smile crept across her face. "You're not the first one to try," she said, her voice soft but carrying a lethal edge, "but you'll be the last." And then the lights went out. In the darkness, the sculptor barely had time to register what was happening before a sharp blow to the back of his head sent him spiraling into unconsciousness. When he awoke, his body ached. He was in a dimly lit room, the air thick with the stench of dust and iron. He tried to move, but his arms were strapped tightly to a chair, his mouth gagged. Panic gripped him as he thrashed in his restraints, but it was no use. He was trapped. In the corner of the room, Elena sat calmly, polishing a knife. His knife. "I was hoping you'd make your move," she said, not even glancing up from her work. "It's been a while since I've had a challenge like this. The others before you, they were clumsy. But you're different." She finally looked at him, her eyes glinting like a predator's. "Years ago I had a different life," she began. "I was an assassin, one of the best, but eventually the job takes its toll, doesn't it? So I retired, thought I could live quietly, put all that behind me, but people like you, people like me, we don't just disappear, do we?" Elena stood up, walking towards him with the ease of someone who had already won. "I knew you were watching me from the moment you started. I could feel it, the way you lingered, the way your eyes followed me. It was only a matter of time before you made your move. I almost admired your patience." The sculptor's mind raced. Who was this woman? How could he have been so wrong? "I could kill you now," Elena whispered, leaning down so her lips were close to his ear. But that wouldn't be any fun. Over the next few days, Elena shattered his world. She moved with the precision of a ghost, eliminating his allies, his network, anyone who had ever assisted him. He was helpless, strapped to that chair, forced to listen to her recount of each and every kill, her voice emotionless, detailed the way she had dismantled his carefully constructed empire. "You thought you were the hunter," she would say, "but you've been my prey since the moment you chose me." The sculptor had hunted countless victims, but he now understood the true meaning of fear. He begged her, tried to make deals, but Elena was relentless. She hunted with a patience and cruelty he had never imagined. She was methodical, always one step ahead, enjoying the slow, inevitable destruction of his world. Soon there was nothing left. No allies, no support, no escape. On the final night, Elena stood over him one last time, her expression calm, unreadable. "It's over," she said. "Your game ends here." She cut the ropes binding him, letting him collapse onto the floor, weak and broken. As he struggled to stand, she tossed his knife to the ground, just out of reach. "Run," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "I want to see how far you'll get." The sculptor, his mind clouded by panic and exhaustion, grabbed the knife and bolted. He ran through the streets, the darkness pressing in around him, but no matter how far he ran, no matter how fast, he knew she was behind him, always watching, always waiting. For the first time in his life, the sculptor was no longer the predator. He was the prey, and there would be no escape from Elena's shadow. If you enjoyed witnessing the hunter become the hunted, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more twisted tales of suspense and terror. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next deadly game. Stay safe and beware of what stalks in the shadows.